go. 3, 2, 1.
Whoa!
Oh my God. Okay. Are you ready? Tether! You didn't put the tether down!
I did!
Balloon there, that it's like a boat's rudder, if you will, and we basically are just steering this thing in a circle at this point, which is actually fantastic for the ground crews, because it does not appear that they're going to have to have they're not going to have a terrible chase after this.
Right. Watching the pictures from Sky 9 is that with it deflating like that and listing, it looks like the gas has gone to one side. It's kind of probably wobbling, kind of a bit like a top as a top winds down as it moves forward across the ground. That does help slow its forward progress some and does make it easier for the ground crews to stay with it or get in front of it.
And also, as it comes down, you would think it would drag a little bit. It's going to bring down one portion of the gondola or the basket first, help dissipate some of that momentum, so that it could, we don't want to be too hopeful here, but we think it might make for a little softer landing.
Yes, that certainly has the prospect of that, especially if it drags that listing side down first. I'm sure looking at the construction is with contact with the ground.
He's coming down now.
Here it goes.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
he's coming down now.
I think.
Oh,
and very softly.
Look at that.
Very softly.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
And there we have somebody.
Somebody has a
Beautiful.
tether. We have one person with a tether. A soft plowed field. You couldn't ask for a nicer place to touch down.
Now, Vaughn, earlier today you talked about the idea of the controlled deflation and how that might look. It appears that it basically just happened on its own.
Yes, that's basically like you set up a little bit of a leak, let some air out, let some helium out, and be able to get it to come down. And as we can see, that obviously there's not a lot of surface winds because the craft is just sitting there. We didn't have the drag potential and the drag hazard, and it just looks like it's settled in almost as if it was piloted on a beautiful leisure flight.
And look at the deputies' feet as they walk around in the field. You can tell, just as Marty said, it's fresh plowed. There's probably a foot or so of dirt in those furrows that hopefully cushion the landing. We're hearing that this is near Prospect Reservoir.
Oh, okay.
So this has been at least 2.5 hour flight, and perhaps
unintended
it might be
flight.
A little bit more. Yes. For a 6-year-old boy that crawled into the basket of this homemade device that he had been working on with his father in Fort Collins, Falcon Henny, 6 years old, that crawled into this, and we still don't know all the details, but somehow it managed to get untethered and lifted off. And then the parents were in just a utterly helpless situation. Calling for help.
It would appear that their primary concern here is making sure that the balloon doesn't get back off the ground.
Yeah, they're piling dirt on top of it there to try to tether it. Kyle, Kim, I've seen no sign of Falcon Henny
I know,
at
and
this
that's
point.
the part that.
I'm not quite sure if the emergency responders know where or how to look for him. I don't know if they know where he is, but I've seen no indication of the 6-year-old boy that we've been talking about here for the last couple of hours. They are securing the balloon.
Now, it's certainly easy to say from where we sit, but it's tough to imagine a softer landing considering the circumstances, at least the way that it looked from our perspective there on Sky 9.
I'm sure it was a pretty good bump when you went down, but Vaughn, I think, said it best, where that looked like a controlled landing that you would make on a leisure flight. You could see that they're rending the envelope there with shovels. They're just allowing all the helium to go out. They do not want to risk this taking back off. So I think that they've rendered it not flight worthy at this point, and now it looks like they're starting to make an investigation of the basket area. We do know, Kim, that door was just on one side.
Right.
So they're gonna have to roll that thing over so they can get to the one side where there's an entrance into that basket.
Now, off to the left of the balloon, you could see some of the video cameras there, and one of those belongs to our own Brian Willey, who we can go now to on the phone. Brian, what are you seeing on the ground there next to the balloon?
Well, I've got some information that I'm not quite sure how to say it, but I don't believe that they found anybody with this balloon.
Oh my goodness.
They backed off. They punctured holes in it to make it non-flyable at this point, but there's no basket, and they're not pulling anybody out of it at this point.
Okay.
They are still looking. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath. I had to run into a dirt field, which was the best landing for it. But at this point, they're not pulling any child out of this balloon at this time. They continue to. They've lifted it up. What you say was the basket, they've now completely lifted upside down, and again, they have not found any child. There was no child on board this balloon at this point.